What's up, everybody? It's Izzy, and in this video I'm going to talk about why I hate program reviews. Sorry for the clickbaity title, but you did click on it, right? So, for those of you guys who are familiar with Powerlifting to Win, probably the most popular thing I ever did was my program review series, where I just talked about popular programs in terms of the powerlifting principles that were behind them. Now, to this day, I still get requests every single week to review some program or another out there by somebody somewhere. So the reason why I don't do it anymore and why I probably won't do it in the future is that it just is impossible almost to give everything the proper context that it deserves. So what I mean by that is that when people watch a program review video, they generally have one question in their mind. Should I do this program or not? Right? Is the program good or not? And really, that's just too simplistic of a perspective to take when you're making a video about a program that could potentially apply to thousands of different kinds of people. So, realistically, there's at least three really important factors when you're selecting a program. Number one is your demographic as a lifter. So, on one end of the continuum, you have people who need higher frequencies and higher volumes. This is typically smaller females or people who still haven't filled out their frame as powerlifters, smaller males as well, and just people who have are just genetically gifted to handle volume. On the other end of the spectrum, you have people who are very sensitive to volume and who need lower frequency and lower volume. This is typically larger males who have already filled out their frame, and people who are just in general strong enough that their recovery timelines on lifts are no longer very short. And what I mean by that is, say somebody benches 225 as a typical middleweight male, they can probably kill themselves with a bench workout on Monday and be totally recovered by Friday at the latest. Whereas if you have somebody with a 550 bench and they kill themselves on Monday, just kill themselves, it might be 7 to 10 days before their pecs are fully recovered from that workout. Totally different scenarios, right? So number one, what's your demographic as a lifter? Number two, what are your goals? It always frustrates me when somebody takes somebody who's like a bodybuilder and they say you should do starting strength and do GOMAD. Get your body fat up to like 20% and then cut. Because if you're not strong enough first, it's not going to work. Whereas realistically, this person is not going to be able to buy into that type of philosophy, usually, without a lot of convincing, because it simply doesn't fit their goal. You need to pick a program that's actually appropriate for your goal, right? And then the last one, so we got demographic. Your goal is what's the level of resources that you're willing to commit in the gym. So this is very important because a lot of people either think that I'm saying a program works or it doesn't work. So take 531, for example. It's a pretty bare bones program unless you really adjust it with the various different, first set, last, joker sets. There's so many different versions, right? So I don't even want to get into that. But the point is that it's kind of a bare bones program. You do each main lift once per week on relatively low volume. And this can still work for a lot of people. People make gains like this. They make really slow, steady gains. And if all you want to do is spend 5 hours a week in the gym, because let's say that you're a football player and you have a lot of time that you need to be spent at practice. Let's say you're a 40-year-old dad who just wants to feel good when he plays with his kids and just kicks some ass at his, church league basketball games. Then, yeah, you don't need to be in the gym on a DUP block periodized program that has you training 7 times a week for 30 hours a week in the gym, right? And I'm giving extreme examples on purpose. So it's never as simple as a program is good or bad. The real question is this program appropriate for you as an individual? And again, the big three factors for that are, what is your demographic as a lifter? What can you tolerate in terms of frequency, intensity, volume? Number two, what is your goal? Or do you want to be a competitive bodybuilder, or do you want to be a competitive power lifter? Is this just something that you do for fun? Do you want to just have good general overall strength, good strength and conditioning for everyday life? And then third, of course, would be, what are you willing to commit? You want to be like a competitive CrossFitter and do 2-a-days every day of the week? There's just very different levels of commitment that are out there. So it totally depends. For the aforementioned 40-year-old dad who just wants to feel good when he plays with his kids and kicks some ass in his rec basketball league, 531 might be a really good choice. But for the lightweight, middleweight, underweight male powerlifter who needs to keep moving up a weight class or two because doesn't have enough hypertrophy yet. And not only that, but his main focus is competitive powerlifting, and he's willing to spend as much time in the gym as it takes. It's insulting to give him a program that takes 5 hours a week because he can handle more, and he needs more in order to see the fastest rate of progress possible. But again, not everybody's goal is to see the fastest rate of progress possible in the big three. There's a lot of questions, a lot of context that goes into whether or not a program is not good or bad, but appropriate for a particular individual and their goals. And that's really what I want to emphasize here, is it's not about programs being good or bad or programs working or not working. Like, some people did stuff like this where they would go to someone who used like Westside and they would say, hey, what do you think about this Izzy guy saying that Westside sucks and it doesn't work? Now, I never said that, but they go to this person and this person goes, well, look, I hold world records in my federation or whatever. I've got clients that hold state and national records using the Westside system, so he can, go suck it because he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's a perfectly valid response, right? Because they've seen that it works. So it's not a question of whether or not it works. It's whether or not something is reasonably well suited to that individual as a whole. And that is why I cannot give you guys simple yes or no answers to whether or not you should do a program. You need to know a lot about somebody to really just help them decide whether something is appropriate for them as a lifter and their goals and everything else. It's much more involved than just saying Shako is good, 531 is bad, Westside is really bad, and the Texas method is okay. It's much more involved than that. You need more information. So it's kind of funny is that to this day, I still get emails like this a lot that are like, Izzy, do you still think that Johnny Candido's 6-week program is the best? And I'm just like, when did I ever say that it was the best program? The best in terms of what? And it's funny because I really do get more questions about Johnny's programs than my own. That happens a lot where, a week will go by and I got asked more questions about a program I didn't even write and have nothing to do with. So that's kind of why I have a problem with reviewing programs, is because it's so hard for me to give all of that context. Like, there's too many questions to answer. So what you need to do as an individual is understand the finer points of programming yourself so that you can answer those 3 questions. Number 1, is it appropriate for your demographic in terms of a smaller lifter who might need higher frequency, higher volume, or a bigger lifter who might need less frequency, less volume? Number 2, is it a program that was actually designed for your goal? If you're somebody who wants to compete in powerlifting, was the program actually designed to produce the highest 1 rep max possible in the squat, bench, and deadlift? And number 3, what are you willing to do in terms of time that you spend in the gym? Are you really willing to be in the gym for 20 hours a week? If not, don't pick a program, a six days per week DUP program with 20 sets of workout. That doesn't make sense. So you need to answer these questions for yourself, understand the overall principles of powerlifting so that you can pick from programs that might make the most sense for you. And on top of all of that, you still have to remember that the best program has to be individualized for you because everybody is just a little bit different. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. As always, my friends, have a nice day and peace.